The world out there is huge, but somehow we only ever see a small part of it. Have you ever wondered, what if we put all of our little observations together? What kind of picture would that create? I'm Javi, and you're listening to From Mind to Mind. This is the space where young voices are heard openly, honestly, and without any judgment. So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and come with us as we explore the rhythm of the society through the eyes of our generations. So imagine this. You wake up, grab your phone, and start scrolling. First post, agreed. Second post, agreed. Third post, wow, you've never agreed harder in your life. And at some point, you're not even learning anymore. You're just nodding and like, yeah, exactly, that's what I've been saying. Even though you definitely have not been saying that until 20 minutes ago. What if you're not actually discovering new ideas? You are just consuming the stuff you already like. And let's be honest, your feed isn't educational. It is just your personality on autoplay. Same text, different fonts. Same opinions, slightly different vibes. Welcome to Echo Chamber, the podcast where we talk about the cozy little internet bubble you didn't realize you were living in until someone disagreed with you and suddenly it's emotional damage. In this episode, we're gonna unpack how algorithms basically said, oh, you like this? Cool. This is your entire worldview now. We will get into the hot takes, the bad takes, and the takes you only have because you saw them 45 on 7 in a row. So, if you ever stopped mid-scroll and thought, wait, do I actually believe this? Or did the internet just convince me I do? Congrats, you're exactly where you need to be. And while all of this might sound very online, echo chambers don't just exist on our screens. They show up in classrooms and communities, and even in the way we think about our careers and the world around us. So today, instead of just talking about echo chambers, we are actually bringing in two people who are actually working in environments where ideas are constantly being shaped, challenged, and shared. Thank you, Trà My and Đức Huy, for joining me today. Before we dive in, could you both briefly introduce yourself? Just something for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better. Trà My, you can begin. Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Trà My. I'm 14 years old, and I am the Deputy Editor-in-Chief at the Voices of Green newsroom, where we mainly focuses on working on environmental issues and social issues relating to children, as well as spreading awareness and encouraging children to speak up and take action for those issues.
Thank you, Trà My. Wow, that is actually a very outstanding profile. Đức Huy, it's your turn now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Đức Huy. Currently, I'm 22 years old, and I'm a graduate in marketing management in Foreign Trade University. I was born and raised in Ho Chi Minh City, and I would describe my environment as a nurturing and a very ideal environment for me to grow, to learn, and to implement my project, which is called Green Swords. I'm the founder and the manager of that project. And currently right now, I'm pursuing SDG number 4 and number 13. And I'm hopefully that in the next 5 years, I see myself as a well-rounded entrepreneur. And I would love to see the world change by the power of youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Đức Huy and Trà My. So both of you have built impressive journeys in youth leadership and community impact. Đức Huy was deeply involved in mentorship networks like the Pacific Links Foundation and the regional initiatives such as the ASEAN Volunteers Festival, while Trà My is shaping environmental storytelling through media platforms like Voices of Greens and public engagement activities like the UNICEF exhibition Queer Air, Colorful Lives. So with both of you working closely with young communities and influencing how people think, learn, and act, I would love to hear your perspective on how do you see the pros and cons of echo chambers. Do they actually help strengthen awareness and collective action, or do they risk limiting perspective and critical thinking. Let's start with Đức Huy first.
Well, actually, that echo chamber is basically For You page on Instagram or TikTok gone wrong. When the algorithm realizes that you are in a certain vibe, it stops showing you anything else, and you end up in a digital room where everyone is just nodding at each other. It feels safe, but it's actually a total reality distortion. So the reality is that echo chamber is not that evil. They are tools of social architecture. And the question is whether they function as an incubator or a prison. So I will start with the pros first. Actually, I'm an IELTS teacher. So for a student aiming for a band 6.0 who feels overwhelmed, being in a chamber of peers with the same goals provides them with emotional safety to practice without fear of judgment from the experts. And in social movements, echo chambers create a shared language. This allows for rapid collective action, and you don't have to debate why sustainability matters. You can skip straight to how we implement. And for the cons, I think that if young people only hear view that they already agree with, their critical thinking muscles decline. When they eventually face a real world counter argument, they often react with anger and withdrawal rather than logic. And in the business perspective, myself, I do some market research, and whether studying consumer behavior in social commerce or market trends, relying on a bubble leads to bad data. And you start solving problems that don't exist for people don't actually understand. So as someone who influences how do you think and learn, the goal is not to destroy all the echo chambers. That is basically impossible. Instead, the goal is try to ventilate them. And my favorite quote is that a leader job isn't to bust the bubble, but to shed new lights. And you should ask yourself, is your community make you smarter, or is it just making you feel more right? Thank you.
Thank you, Đức Huy, for such a very interesting answer. I couldn't see how social media and also even IELTS was linked to echo chamber. But as a mentor, you see through it, and you also see the answers and the algorithms of echo chamber. So what about Chami? As a student and also a learner as well, what do you think of the pros and cons of the echo chambers?
Well, I myself, someone who uses social media quite often, like platforms such as YouTube or Facebook, I can see very well how echo chamber is having effect on our For You pages. It's happening for everyone, and even myself. I can be watching a document one day, and then the next day and the other day will keep appearing more and more and encouraging me to watch. So from then I learned that echo chamber, one of its main purposes is to create a comfortable environment for people, for users, so that they feel like they belong there, they feel heard, or it has the things that they're interested in, so that they would stay there and have a better experience there. And yeah, that's also an advantage. But I think that one of the most clear advantage of echo chambers, most specifically in environmental work that I'm doing, is that they can create a strong and supportive community that will help amplify the voices that might be overlooked. Like, for example, at my newsroom, the Voices of Green, which was supported by UNICEF, one of our biggest goals is to amplify the voices of young people and their perspectives that are often overlooked. Like, for example, children and the problem with air pollution in the city, or children and the problem with natural disasters in the rural areas. And we already have a community of people who care about environmental issues. So with the echo chamber, it allows us to spread those perspectives about people, different perspectives to people on that same issue to more people around them. And it will also encourage young people to speak up. It creates a sense of shared purpose. And from then, I've also seen that being in that kind of environment will turn awareness into action, because then people feel heard and supported and they are more encouraged to take action. But however, if echo chambers come with advantages, it must also have the downsides. And I also agree with the Kui is that it will make our perspectives more narrow. And specifically, these kind of awareness will become more repetitive rather than reflective. So let's remember that the echo chamber, what it does is that it repeats, it echoes the content that we like, our interests, our opinions, and belief. And if we stay too long in that environment, we will stop questioning and start assuming that, oh, everyone thinks the same way we do, which can disconnect us from the broader public, the people that we are trying to reach, the people with more diverse perspectives, ideas, challenging ideas that may open our minds. And then our perspectives and knowledge by then, it's no longer being challenged by something new. It would always just be the same belief, same idea, same interest over and over again. And we will believe that, oh, we've already know it all. But in reality, that what we are looking at is oversimplifying and maybe even leaving out other aspects of the issue that we are looking towards. So overall, echo chambers, they are useful for mobilizing people, but they become limiting when they replace our critical thinking and make us more narrow in terms of perspectives and point of views.
Thank you, Chami, on your point about echo chamber, why it can connect people with the same interests and build collective action, and also the communal sense as well. But it can narrow down your opinion and also your knowledge. So, Đức, I want to start with your role as a mentor, because you have worked with so many elite students across different programs. And I've seen you taking on mentoring roles across competitions like the Vietnam Business Innovation Challenge, and also institutions like the White Box Mentology. So by being the mentor rather than the mentee, like most people, what have you learned?
Well, I have learned a lot. Well, the biggest lesson, I would say that knowledge only accounts for 50%, and empathy is the other half. When I remember that I first being a mentee, I was being rejected by a mentor because he fully believed that I can stood by myself. So that is something that what I really want to become a mentee first when I was a freshman. But luckily, after just half a year, I became a mentor. So actually, when you are the one being mentor, you are focused on getting the right answer. They all want me to mentor them for the competition only. But standing on the other side, I realized that my role as a mentor is not to give the rightful answer, but is to help the student find their own voice. I've learned that mentoring is just like talking to a mirror. Every time that a mentee asks me a difficult question, it forces me to rethinking my own foundations. And I often get very nervous when answering those questions. So I would, rather than to hear from them, what are their thoughts, and want to learn about my own like blind spots rather than the student did. So the biggest lesson I have learned is that not getting the right answer, but is to give the student a platform to find their voice. Thank you.
Wow, agree. That is such an outstanding answer, because most of the time, most people, like the majority of people, especially students nowadays, they focus on getting the right answer rather than challenge their thinking and learn from different perspectives. But your answer showed that we can actually focus on another thing, which is our critical thinking and how we should learn from the other blind spots. So as a mentor, how do you challenge your mentees' thinking without discouraging them?
Well, I believe that this is my secret, and I will spill the tea right now. I use a strategy called critical method. So I always start by asking my mentee why. If a mentee has a big idea, it's crazy for a project, I would say to them that I really love the passion behind this very impactful goal. But now let's look at the data. How does this project compete in the real market? So instead of saying like this won't work, this is really bad, I would ask them, what happened if something changes? So this allow my students to like reconsider all of the projects themselves, and it's feel more like a research and just like a discovery that they have made rather than the correction that I gave them. So I'm very honest about my feedback, and also it's kind of like tough love, but I'm very honest with the difficulty that they are facing. So I told them, this is really hard. Can you handle the pressure? If you're not handling the pressure, if you cannot handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. So they are not afraid of my pressure because they're becoming better and better with my feedback. And I call that is a constructive and a critical method that I have used with my mentee. Thank you.
Thank you, Đức Huy. The tea was very hot. And I think I will apply this when I becoming a mentor one day, like hopefully. Next up, let's start with Trà My. So today, most people are exposed to the environmental issues through social media, where algorithms, they often prioritize content that aligns with our existing beliefs or gets the most engagement. So this can make important topics more visible, but it can also narrow down your perspective, as you already mentioned before. So from your experience in environmental communication, do you think social media algorithms are actually helping or hurting the public understanding of environmental issues? And how do you navigate that tension as an editor at the Voices of Greens?
Thank you for the question. So I think that algorithms, they're actually doing both. They are helping and also hurting people on terms of environmental awareness at the same time, which makes it quite a complex tension. And first, it actually helps with environmental awareness by increasing its visibility. When people, they have a believe and care about the environmental issues, it will become a part of the daily content's consumption. And it is especially important for young audiences who are also increasingly more interested in sustainability. And it's also really useful as there is no need for us to do research or academic knowledge in order for us to learn more about environmental awareness. And it will also help accelerate movements like campaigns, trends about environmental issues like pollution or sustainable goals. And it will help the action spread quicker with the algorithm constantly promoting and pushing those pages on top. But it also hurts our understanding, and it hurts way more than we think. So first, algorithms, they actually prioritize engagement over accuracy, because what they want to do is to hold back the users and to keep them online. So they will prioritize posts that will engage their emotions, that are simple and will make us feel more engaged, rather than giving us contents that are actually accurate and reliable. And because of this, and it also has the issue that I've mentioned earlier, which is it will oversimplify complex issues. Environmental problems itself is a system. It's interconnected and it's very complex. And when people have a specific belief or just a single interest on a specific aspect of environment, then they will only see that part. They won't be able to see like other issues, like nuances, like in terms of policies or economics or people in different areas. And from then, people will only understand pieces and not the whole thing. So at the Voices of Green, as I said earlier, what we want to do is to spread awareness, not just on one aspect of the environmental awareness, but also other perspectives of children, of adults, of people who are affected by this, by the problems that are going on in this world. So our core mindset is that we use the algorithm, but we do not let it control us. While we do have varied posts and storytelling to attract attention and increase the engagement, we always ensure that it will come with depth. It will still include nuances and explanations on the environmental issues that we are talking about. And we don't just post what performs well. We also introduce to our viewers new angles and new perspectives so that they get to find more perspectives and open their minds, and even some ideas that they never knew or might challenges what they currently believe. And lastly, we don't oversimplify things. We only translate, like, for example, issues such as air pollution. It may have scientific terms or concepts that are confusing to people, especially young children. So what we do is that we break down those complex ideas. We don't make it lose its meaning. We use simpler terms that or examples or real life stories with credible sources so that children or people overall, the citizens, can understand better what the issue is going on around them, and they understand more how it affects them. So overall, the real challenge here is that it's not just getting people to care, because they already do, but the thing is to help them understand deeply, and that is what we're trying to do. So algorithms, what they're already doing is make people notice those issues. But if we want to make them understand, then the responsibility lies with the content creators, and us, Voices of Green, as a content creator, that's what we aim towards.
Thank you, Chami, for introducing such a new perspective on algorithm, that it can actually be a double-edged sword. It can be informative, but it actually prioritizes engagement. So I wanted to ask, can you name out some examples why being the deputy editor-in-chief of the Voices of Green? So you actually mentioned how you mitigate environmental topics that are complex, and how you bring out a solution, which is to break down ideas. So how do you actually break down ideas without making it too detailed and not engaging? Can you name out some examples?
Yes, thank you. So as we know, environmental issues, they are very complex, but media platforms, they tend to simplify so that people can read it more at a faster speed. But at Voices of Green, what we do is that in order to break complex ideas into smaller, for example, when our team did a series of posts about the issue of air pollution, we did it in multiple perspectives, even putting the storyteller as the actual dust that are affecting the air pollution, and it is introducing itself, its problems, how it enter our lungs. So while it sounds like a really fun story that is actually engaging for young people or for people overall to read, it is actually informing us on how it exists, like from traffic, from transportation or industrial pollution, from all those stuff, to even how it enters our body and how it's going to affect it. While we are using a language that are more friendly and close to people, we are actually informing them about how it is affecting us. And besides from that, we also use reliable sources to ensure that our data is accurate. So what we're doing here is that we're making use of the algorithm that prefers creative content that are engaging, and we are combining our creativity with knowledge, with information that are reliable from credible sources. We combine them together so that it will appear more for people, and they will be able to learn more about those issues in a more diverse or creative aspect. So yeah, that's how we do that. So overall, oversimplification, it only becomes harmful if we remove nuances, we remove the aspects that makes it important, that makes people understand how dangerous it truly is. But what our team, our newsroom is doing is not oversimplifying it, but we are improving clarity and improving understanding for people overall.
Thank you, Chami. I see your vision now. So what you're trying to do here is to include their narrative, or in this case, is a hook to bring new information to the viewers. So I want to see from the perspective of the founder of a very prestigious institution like the Green Sword. So Đức Huy, as the founder of Green Sword and also a guest speaker at initiatives like the EcoED and the Sustainable Career Track. Your work seems deeply rooted in sustainability and how eco-friendly movements, especially among young people. So, from your experience, how do you see environmentally related echo chambers forming within this community?
Well, actually, that as a person who have 4 years of experience working in an environmental community, I think that for echo chambers in my community, for the youth today, like social media algorithms often serve like a environmental content for two different perspectives. First is a lot of people think that climate change is the end of the world. They constantly seeing content about like doomsday and the end of the day and end of the world, which reinforces a sense of hopelessness in the environment. And they see that they have been degraded in our society as well. And the other one is the sustainable aesthetic. I've seen a lot of Pinterest, like perfect Instagram, perfect photo. They have like eco-friendly products, which like reinforces the idea that sustainability is just like a consumer's lifestyle for the wealthy rather than just a simple change for everyone. So the youth may think that the only way to help the planet is through ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance. And it's only the roles in the big corporations or starting in a dedicated eco startups. This creates a narrow view that misses how sustainability can be integrated into any career, from like healthcare, from education to like engineering. So effectively, they have limiting the diversity of solutions. So my advice for the youth in the community of today is to connecting environmental problems with economic, social, cultural issues and to bring in like a wider perspective. And also we should actively seeking out for skeptical viewpoints to understand more about those viewpoints, those counter agreements, and to strengthen the movement of our action and also our logical thinking as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Đức Huy, for introducing different stereotypes about climate change. So most people see it as the end of the world or even see it as doomsdays, but some even romanticize it as a sustainable aesthetic and even take Instagrammable photos and upload it on the different platforms. So this is the viewpoint of internet users, but I want to dive deep into the viewpoints of the communities in the Southeast Asia. So based on your experience in prestigious forums like the ASEAN Volunteers Festival and International Students Science Forum in 2025, how do you think echo chambers differs across cultures?
Well, these programs are just like echo chamber breakers. And actually that I think it's just like an all-stars conference when they have a lot of talented delegates. And I met a lot of friends in Southeast Asia. I think it's the golden opportunity to meet and to actually learn a lot of their languages and their cultures. I also learned basic Thai. So my Thai is not good, so don't judge me. สวัสดีครับทุกคนฉันรักฉันเข้าขอบคุณฟื้นชาวไทยที่รักของฉันที่ส่งภาษาแล้ววัฒนธรรมไทยให้ฉันหวังว่าจะได้ไปประเทศไทยในเร็วๆนี้ขอบคุณมากครับ So I just say it in Thai that I'm very thankful for my beloved Thai friends that had taught me about the Thai language and the cultures, and hopefully I would got a chance to be in Thailand in the future. So that is the meaning of what I have said in Thai. So back to the question, I think that throughout the programs, I have learned a lot about their context and the echo chambers they are more likely to form around the identity and the social harmony. We as Asian united, and we believe that we must maintain those consensus to keep the whole Asian strong. So the most factor is that in today's society, that a moderate but stagnant echo the bubble, where getting along is prioritized over the friction necessary for radical innovations. And I think that from the perspective that I have learned through my friends from Thailand, from Indonesia, Filipinas, and also in Brunei as well, and they taught me a lot about broaden my horizon as well as different ways to solve problems. Actually, that Vietnamese people, they solve the problem. They try to go like a curve like this, but people in other countries, they solve the problem. They go in the straight way. So that's a different perspective. And I think that I have a lot of things to learn from my international friends. And hopefully that I got the chance to participate in other international conferences in this year as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Đức Huy, for your amazing experience as one of Vietnam delegates attending one of the most prestigious forums of East Asia. So talking about international forums and institutions, I wanted to ask Chami about the exhibition of UNICEF's Clear Air, Colorful Lives. So in recent years, we have seen a rise in both digital campaigns and physical experience like exhibitions. So each trying to engage people with environmental issues in different ways. So based on your involvement in initiative like the exhibition I already mentioned, so do you think offline events are more effective in breaking echo chambers, and why?
I wouldn't say that offline events are necessarily more effective, but they are fundamentally different in a way that really matters. So offline spaces create encounters that people don't actively choose. Like on social media, we mostly engage with content that we already agree with, we resonate with. But in an exhibition, for example, like in our Clear Air, Colorful Lives exhibition, people from different backgrounds shared the same physical space and experience the same story together. And at our exhibition last time, there were a lot of photographies and stories from participants, like children's. It's called Photo Voice, where you have photos and you tell your story from that. We had participants from all over the country, from the north to the central and the south. So from there, we had a lot of diverse perspectives, from people talking about the beauty of the environment in their place or the pollution that is going on in where they live. And what I like about this exhibition is that I get to see people who initially, they wasn't interested in environmental issues. They became curious because they were simply there at that moment. So they pass through, they see, and they end up taking a look at it, which is something that you might not experience on social media, because we're talking about echo chamber, it only shows us the things that we're interested in, but not the things that we haven't discovered or explored yet. And another case is that it is something that I experienced myself. So I myself did a lot of research online or read a lot of stuff that I saw on my For You page about things like environment or education. But when I was invited to the World Innovation Summit for Education to talk about the environmental issues and being a leader, a youth leader there, I got to meet and hear a lot of new perspectives from people, things that even when I did my research, I didn't found out. And it gave me a lot of new knowledge, new perspectives and viewpoints. And I think that kind of exposure is really hard. It's harder to achieve online. So that's what I think.
Thank you, Chami, and I would love to attend the exhibition Clear Air and Colorful Lives one day, as your speech is very inspiring, and I really wanted to become an attendee one day, hopefully. So as environmental awareness grows in Vietnam, and the media is playing an increasingly important role in shaping how people think feel, and act on these issues. But at the same time, challenges like echo chambers, misinformation, and short attention spans are become more pressing. So, Chami, looking ahead, what kind of sustainability-related media do you hope to see in Vietnam in the next 5 to 10 years? And what needs to change to actually get there?
Well, that's an interesting question. Thank you so much. I think that sustainability media in Vietnam has a lot of potential, especially because young people I've seen, even my friends around me, are very already engaged with these issues. And at the same time, there are still challenges like we have discussed about echo chambers, as well the things that come along with it, like misinformation and increasingly short attention spans. In the next 5 to 10 years, I hope to see a media that doesn't just inform or engage, but it also challenges audiences to encourage them to think critically, to challenge themselves with new perspectives rather than just react emotionally to the things that we already know, the things that we already agreed with. And to get there, I believe that we should have more responsibilities from both sides, the content creators and the content consumers. For content creators, they should have stronger, they should encourage, they should try to make more diverse kind of content rather than just focusing on one. And for audiences, they should try to improve their media literacy. And also the platforms should value more on depth rather than just pure engagement. Because in the end, the sustainability or environmental issues or things overall, it's not just about raising awareness. It is about helping people make informed decisions. And in order for them to do that, in order for them to make the right decisions to live more sustainably and have a healthier life choice, it will require exposure to multiple perspectives, not just the things that they are used to, the things in their comfort zone.
Thank you, Chami, for bringing this very unique point to the table. I actually agree with you that in today's society, the population is constantly surrounded by personalized content, misinformation, and also the short attention span as well. And by that, it's becoming increasingly difficult to notice when we are only exposed to ideas that reinforce what we actually believed. So, Đức Huy, from your perspective as a mentor working with diverse student groups, what practical steps can students take to recognize that they might be in an echo chamber? And once they become aware of it, what actions can they take to overcome such problem?
Well, since I'm a very practical person, so I have a solution which consists of 3 steps. So the first thing is that you doing a check. This is called a predictability check. So when you realize that your new feeds has stopped fitting you with a lot of repetitive informations, and you just open just such as example, your Instagram, for example, for the first 5 posts. So if you already knew what exactly this person is going to say or what is their content, if the answer is yes, so unfortunately that you are in the chamber. So that is basically the signal. But I think that actually I have a solution for this. If you want to break out of that bubble, you must force your application to show you a wider world by flooding it with a different data. For example, that you try to trick your Google search. Maybe you search for a topic that is very uncommon, that you have never tried to search it before, and it's not like your usual interest. So you should spend about maybe 10 to 15 minutes do the research or watching videos that you have never seen before, the new topic. And this actually change a lot of your data, your user data, and also your preference as well. Maybe the algorithm will get very confused and start suggesting more diverse content instead of just like normal things. And after that, you have to build like a critical thinking mindset that allows you to engage with what is happening right now. When you hear an opinion that sounds really wrong, don't jump into conclusion first. You stop yourself from actually trying to against it. Instead, try to really argue for that opinion. You may be not able to disagree until that you can actually explain other person viewpoints so that they would actually maybe they actually said that you understand me very well. So try to do it about 3 times. So after doing it 3 times and also asking yourself, why am I doing this? Usually after the third why, you move to actually you have the logic and to develop more on your thinking as well as you find the root cause of that problem. So that is my opinion, and my strategies of consist of 3 steps that actually checking whether you're in the echo chamber and also try to overcome such issues. Thank you.
Thanks to Đức Huy, I think now I can outsmart my Google search and algorithms brought by the internet. And I think I will use the third why methods after the postcard ends. And before we wrap up today's episode, I just want to take a moment to genuinely thank both of you for being here with us today. Đức Huy, thank you for sharing insights from the perspective of a mentor, especially on how you reflect on not just about guiding others, but also on constantly challenging your own thinking by learning from the mentee's opinion. And Chami, thank you for bringing in such a thoughtful lens from media and environmental communication. And your perspective actually helped us to understand how the information we consume shapes how we see the world.
What's interesting is that Đức Huy and Chami approach echo chamber differently, but land on the same insight. From mentoring in programs like the Vietnam Business Innovation Challenge and White Box Menteology, Đức Huy realized mentoring isn't about giving answers. It's about helping people find their own voice. He challenges mentees by asking why, testing ideas with data, and letting them rethink. In environmental space, he sees 2 echo chambers, one that pushes climate anxiety and another that turns sustainability into a trend. His advice: step outside of the bubble and connect issues to bigger system. Chami, from a media perspective, see algorithms as both helpful and harmful. They raise awareness, but often oversimplify complex issues. For her, the key is storytelling, making content engaging without losing depth. She also highlights offline experience like exhibition as powerful spaces where diverse perspectives naturally come together. In the end, they agree awareness isn't enough. What really matters is deeper understanding and being willing to step outside of your own echo chamber. Thank you for staying and sharing this moment with us. Whether you're heading to sleep or stepping into a new day, I hope you carry this with you. The reminder that your voice matters and it always has a place somewhere. I'm Javi and you are listening to From Mind to Mic. Find your mic, unmute the real you.